Honey, where are my socks? Honey, where are my socks? Honey, where...
Daddy, would you like some sausage? Daddy, would you like... Fucker! You fucker! Fucker!
Oh! Huh? What the f...
Hello again, this is Bionic Slime. I'm your online voice for reviews of your choice, and this is another installment of BS Reviews. You know, no matter how bad things get, no matter how shitty the economy becomes, or, you know, just how problematic life gets, the one thing that always makes me smile and always can help cheer me up is a Hayao Miyazaki movie, because let's face it, as I said in my Princess Mononoke review, he really can't do no wrong. I mean, well, he did do wrong in Howl's Moving Castle, in my opinion, but as a whole, he just does so much good, and he just always brings out some of the most brilliant and wonderful and genius ideas into cinematic life, and I just never get tired of seeing what's going to come out of his mind next. And in this case comes an older film, but one that I just recently enjoyed quite thoroughly. That is his film Laputa, also known as Castle in the Sky. This film was actually made in 1986, but it wasn't released publicly in English dub by Walt Disney Studios until 2003. Supposedly it was because after Disney realized the success of Miyazaki's work when Spirited Away was released and then Howl's Moving Castle, they decided to go back and pick up some of his older films and redistribute them. This one took particularly long. I was particularly pissed about that, but anywho, Castle in the Sky is brought to you by Walt Disney Pictures and Studio Ghibli. It was written and directed by Hayao Miyazaki. It stars James Van Der Beek as Patsu, Anna Paquin as Sheeta, Mark Hamill as Muska, Cloris Leachman as Dola, Jim Cummings as the General, and Andy Dick as Henry. The plot of Castle in the Sky. The story of Castle in the Sky follows a beautiful young girl named Sheeta, who, at the very beginning of the film, falls supposedly to her death from a floating airship after being chased by two different factions that are both after her magical crystal necklace pendant that she wears around her neck that has magical powers. The one faction that's chasing her is a military outfit led by the mysterious and wicked Colonel Muska, who appears to have a lot of background information on the crystal and believes that it is connected to a long-lost civilization called Laputa, which is a castle in the sky. The other faction is a rebel pirate gang led by Dola, a cranky and spunky old woman who leads a group of her sons as air pirates trying to get the crystal as well. Sheeta's crystal actually turns out to actually have magical powers that saves her from her deathly fall and lands her right into the hands, literally, of Patsu, a young miner boy who helps working one day and discovers her. He picks her up and takes her home, and then quickly gets brought into the whole madcap adventure as he and Sheeta are trying to find Laputa, the city that Muska knows so much about, because that is the same city that Patsu's father claims he saw, and that people laughed at him for saying he was crazy, and that ultimately ended up killing him. So this brings Patsu and Sheeta, the Dola gang, and Muska on a grand adventure in one of Hayao Miyazaki's oldest but finest films. Review the plot. This movie, the magic truly comes from the fact that it's so simple, and yet it's so amazing to watch. It's a very simple story that's about nothing more than a young girl and a young boy who want to protect each other, know about their lives, and just know more about themselves. And I admired at how perfect this movie seems to work with such a simple plot. I mean, yeah, there's this whole lost civilization with Laputa and this whole thing with Colonel Muska, knowing more about Sheeta's background on that, but really the magic is just the simplicity of these characters and the adventures that they go on. You know, a lot of films have characters going on adventures, but I don't think any of them truly gather the charm that those kind of films get, particularly with these characters. And I think the magic of the film really works not only with these magical surroundings, but with the characters that these surroundings are, you know, cornering, I guess you could say. Review the characters. It really, as I said, works when you look at it at just how amazingly simple it is, and yet it ends up becoming that much better because you realize that it's so simple, yet it works on so many levels. Patsu and Cheetah are probably one of the most adorable couples I think Miyazaki's ever created. I really think that they're characters who should not really be forgotten, and I don't think that it's fair this movie has been so overlooked by people because they have such a wonderful relationship. You have some excellent performances from James Van Der Beek and Anna Paquin. They both bring the characters to life with such deep and empathetic emotion and compassion. You can tell the concern and sincerity in their voices when they do it. You know, some people complain that they're too old to be voicing, these kids' voices, the characters' voices, but I think they work perfectly with them, and I really admire, particularly James Van Der Beek. I think he really nailed it home. Him and Anna Paquin, I really can't just say anything bad about them because they were just so good at it. Mark Hamill was absolutely phenomenal in this role. Very few people know he's actually in it, and he was great as the villainous Muska. Cloris Leachman and Andy Dick were a riot as members of the Dola gang, particularly Andy Dick. I mean, even if you don't like dub voices, Andy Dick just managed to make it funny. I mean, his quick delivery of these quirky lines and the camaraderie he has with his other brothers and just the outrageousness of the characters, particularly with Cloris Leach's Dola, they just have such fun with their roles, and I admire them for doing that because it just makes it so much more enjoyable to watch them. View the animation and the music. Animation was soft, appealing, and yet beautiful. I mean, the characters have this all kind of soft, clean, kind of the angel doll-like look to them. They're not as rough and wrinkly and, displeasing to the eye. Some animes actually turn me off because the animation looks weird. If it just doesn't appeal to my eyes, then I'm not going to sit and watch it for 2.5 hours or 26 episodes or whatever. But they're simple, soft characters who just look so nice with the excellent colors, the shots of the sky and the castle, absolutely beautiful. The whole intro sequence with the scrolls of the castle, excellent artwork, just awesome. It's really, there's so much open land in this film. It's much more open, kind of like open field cloud in the sky. I mean, hell, it's called Castle in the Sky for a reason, and it really works well. Music, also excellent. Sublime, supreme satisfaction. It's touching and it's sweet. I think it has a much more touching melody to it than most of Miyazaki's of the film. I definitely got it more than I did in, say, Housewind Castle. Princess Mononoke had a good one, but I think this one really has a good feel to it. It just makes you feel good just by listening to it. Not like easy listening music, but just gives you a nice, great feeling when you hear it. And that's really hard to find in music, in a film, that it works now so well with the film and in sync with the events, which it does perfectly fine, but also to give you a nice, warm, fuzzy feeling inside, if I could be mushy for a moment. Flaws about the film. As much as I did love this film, there were only about 2 problems that I really could not overlook, just because one was very glaring and one was just more of a personal issue. The one that's glaring is because I've seen the anime that this is kind of heavily based off of. If any of you have ever seen the anime series, the fantastic anime series, Nadi and the Secret of the Blue Water, you'll notice some staggering, and I repeat, staggering, obvious nods to that series. And I shouldn't even say nods, because it almost looks like everything was taken from Nadi. There's so many similarities from the costumes, the plot of a young girl with a necklace around her with magical abilities and a lost civilization, and a villain who dresses in red and is tied to her civilization, and a pirate gang led by a woman with guys who are just in white suits and all that. It's very, very, very similar to Nadi, and to say that it's not is just kind of being ignorant to the fact that there's so many obvious influences to it. And to me, that's fine. I just think they kind of borrow too many, that's all. And also, I was really disappointed that the relationship between Patsu and Cheetah didn't really go any step further. Yeah, I know they're kids, and I know that probably might seem a little too early for them, or maybe too gross if you guys are prudish about it. But personally, I thought they had an absolutely adorable relationship. I think it helped make them much more charming and easier characters that you can get attached to, and I just wish they would have explored that aspect just a little bit more. Final wrap-up. Castle in the Sky is by far one of the best Miyazaki movies ever, and I think just because it doesn't have the public fame of Princess Mononoke and Spirited Away and Housewind Castle does not mean it's not any good. It's such a grand movie. Beautiful characters, wonderful animation. I absolutely adored the English dub cast. I think they all did an excellent job with the characters. I love these kids. I thought they were great characters, and I could easily sit through this movie again and again and again watching them because I get so attached to their adorable charm. Music was great. You got some beautiful sky shots. I love the imagination of the flying, like the bug copter things and the robots and the flying castle. Just everything was just so well done here. The fact that there are so many heavily nods that from Nadia borrowed here, and the fact that the relationship didn't really go as far as I wanted to, doesn't really hinder the movie that much, but it was a bit of a problem for me just in some areas. But overall, this is a fantastically beautiful movie. I give Castle in the Sky 5 stars out of 5 stars. Well, that's all for now. Thank you all for listening. This has been Bionic Sign for BS Reviews, and bye for now.